Satnam Bhikkhus, as we figured out, that word means people who are following the path. So hopefully we're all calling each other Buddhas when we address each other in class. And because we're on the path, right? We're on our way to becoming enlightened, or as close to it as we can get. So enjoying this class. And let's just recap where we are in this series. So this is the third video, and we've already met. Our first meeting, we just got to know each other, and we looked at the Four Noble Truths. And as you know by now, that one of the noble truths, the last one, the fourth one, is the Eightfold Path. So last class we got together and we dove into the view, which really had to do with the teachings, right? So we looked at what is Buddhism. We looked deeply at karma, good discussions around that. We now know what the word impermanence means, and we know what dukkha is, and we have an understanding of the not self, all because of impermanence, right? So that was a lot, and I know we really did a good job diving into that in class and answering questions. So where you should be now is you should have just finished the next 20 minutes of the film, and that is right up there at that point. When I mention that, I try to tag it right to that same spot, and that's what you should need to be watching right now, is the next 20 minutes, which will take you to exactly 1 hour. And you should end right at the point where Buddha is sitting underneath the Bodhi tree and he commits to not getting up until he becomes enlightened. And that's where that series ends. So hopefully that's how you will come to class. If you're behind, please catch up and don't go ahead. Don't spoil alert. He becomes enlightened, right? So let's dive into today and what we're going to be talking about. When we talk about right thought, I'm going to take a second and get your arms and your energy around that. Right thought truly is right intentions, right aspirations, right resolve, right motivations. And this gets into a pretty sticky place because our thoughts really, and also the law of attraction totally showed up. And I love the law of attraction, as you know. So thoughts become things, monkey mind, right? This class, we're really going to be diving deep into, this isn't the word you're going to know by the end, so here it is, renunciation. And that word you will know like you do know impermanence, okay? Renunciation truly is and means to break the addictions and the connections and the attachments that we have to the things in our life, our thoughts, our actions, our behaviors, our habits, that are not serving us anymore. And so you will spend the next month looking at that for yourself, and you'll have a better sense at the end of the month of what you can be moving towards or away from that isn't serving you to get to this place where you're not suffering so much, okay? So if you don't think you have bad habits, we'll just hang out with us. We'll find some for you, okay? I'm sure that's not your case. So in this class, we're going to be diving into, as I mentioned, renunciation. We're going to be talking a lot about, we're not ever going to say ever again in class, good or bad. We're going to call that skillful or unskillful, and we're going to call that wholesome or non-wholesome, or unwholesome, non-wholesome. And we're going to be having great discussions around all these words. And in class, we're also going to be looking at expectations and desires. So let's dive in and let's get ready to have you set up to be able to answer the following questions that we'll be doing in group. So first class, we're in a circle. We stayed in a circle. We got to know each other's energy. Last class, you worked with somebody one-on-one, and hopefully that person is your new best friend. This class, we're going to count into threes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I will be assigning a leader in each group. And so 3 parts of my house, you're going to break out and have these discussions, and you're going to answer the following questions. So are you ready to get into the work for this month's right thoughts by answering the following questions? Here we go. We all have skillful habits and unskillful habits that either serve us or not serve us well. List 3 for each. 3 skillful habits, we'll call them skills that you have, okay, that serve you well, and list 3 habits that you feel that do not serve you well, and have a sense of what those 6 are, okay, and be ready to share. Moving on, since now we know what renunciation is, we're looking at uncovering what we have for habits that are not serving us, and we're looking to get rid of them and break those addictions. So here's the question. Another word for renunciation is sacrifice. Pick one of the unskillful habits that you wrote above and write a resolve for yourself, okay? And work towards that for the next 30 days. So when you write it down, you are committing towards working towards that. And what I'd like to say about this is be mindful about how you're going to do that. So let's give an example of breaking the renunciation around drinking coffee. If I got up tomorrow and said I'm going to come off coffee after drinking it since I was 10 years old, I would end up in a migraine by 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, right? But I might be able to say a cup and a half, and then the next week maybe a cup, and bring it down so I'm not having so much. Looking at how much meat I'm eating. Buddhists don't eat meat, and I'm 15,000 animals the normal person will eat in a lifetime. That's one of the statistics I found out. I heard that, and it really made my stomach kind of turn. I need to be cutting back meat. So maybe not 3 meals of meat, but maybe just 1 meal a day, and then, head towards the better. So you see where I'm going for that. When you write your resolve, make it sure it's something that you can actually do, and you're not going to suffer so much dukkha that you drop out of class, okay? So let's move on. In your groups, I want you to have an open dialogue about the word expectations and desires. So let's break that up for a second. I used to think that having an expectation was a bad thing because it meant you were not in the moment. You were always setting yourself up to fail. But in the law of attraction work that we've done together, I've uncovered that expectations are a really important part of manifesting. So in your groups, I want you to have that discussion too. What about desires that we have? Desires, the fuel, get at that fire in your belly. What things do you want in your life to come to you? Do you think they would come to you without that desire being there? But sometimes that desire get in your way and cause pain. So in your groups, have those discussions with your leader, and then come back to group, and we'll break it out in one large group and kind of decide for ourselves what are some of the good traits and the wholesome thoughts and the not so wholesome thoughts in that particular conversation. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, here's a great one. I'm going to read it out loud. It says, goodwill, free from ill will, and compassion, which is free from cruelty, are great examples of wholesome and unwholesome thoughts. So part of your homework is going to be looking back to your past, and I want you to remember that somebody who showed you beautiful compassion at a time that maybe you were struggling. What did they do? Who were they to you? What act of service, or how did they show up in compassion for you? What did it feel like? What impact did it have on your life? So really think about that. You might need our meditation to come up with that person's name, or you might have 15 people that come to mind because they were all there at the same time for you. That's great. Write it down and share it, okay? We'll be sharing some of those in class in Full Circle, but more importantly, your extra credit homework for the month is going to be taking that name and actually reaching out to that person and doing it. So a story that I'd like to share, and I think I've shared it before, but it's to the point and the energy of what I'm looking for. After my daughter passed, my letter carrier, she actually popped a note in the mail. She noticed that she was carrying so much mail to my house that was above and beyond what I normally was getting, and was just really moved to ask the question, are you okay? And when I read that, and I recognized that she was paid to do this, but here she was showing me deep compassion, it really did alter and change it was such a beautiful act. I reached out to her in our last class when we had this similar homework, and wrote her a long letter. She had since retired, and just told her how much she graced my day and what that really meant to me and humanity and more people like her in the world. And I'm telling you, as much as it felt great to reach out to her and it felt great for her to hear it, it felt great for me to acknowledge it. So, as you know, I love acknowledging people and what they do. So part of your extra credit homework, and you have 30 days to do this, is to accomplish that task, okay? So back into right view, that's what's going to be happening in class, okay? And I have a great metaphor for you. If you take my beautiful product, okay, I will tell you that if I just took one small grain of that and tasted it on my lips, that literally would be all. It's a great metaphor for really all I'm able to give you in this series, that it's such a speck of what's really out there in the depth of this series that we're doing together. So be mindful of that, and just know that it's your journey, you're taking it, and there's just so much more to it. So I just wanted you to know that. In the following weeks to come, we're going to be looking in on detail on our Facebook page. It's way too much to do on one video. We're going to be looking at loving kindness, compassion, joy, not just for ourselves, but joy and giving joy to others. And we're going to be diving into another aspect of Buddhism, which is equanimity. And we're going to talk about what that is and how that affects us in the Buddhist teachings. These are called the four divine emotions. And that's what we'll be covering in class. So I think that wraps up a very intense, I know, this is going to be an intense month looking at our habits that we have. Steering clear from anger, fear, greed, prejudice, delusion. Okay, that's our goal. More to come on that. This is Jeannie Lynch signing off. I can't wait to see you. You'll be here May 7th, I believe, on a Monday night for our next class. And this journey has just been amazing. And if you're following it on video or on YouTube, I appreciate, and please feel free to share this video with anybody you think might benefit from walking the Eightfold Path with us. This is Jeannie Lynch signing off. Love and light. Namaste.